Hello everyone, it's Lennon. Welcome to Thoth Thursday. I want to do an unasked for VR to Anna over at Astro Lady Tarot, looking for hidden treasures, if you will, in the Thoth. I thought that was such a good video topic. She shared some very cool hidden symbols that she found in her deck, and I just loved that. And even she suggested this in the video, like getting your deck out and looking for hidden symbols of your own. I love doing that. The Thoth is my favorite deck. I love studying it. I love looking through it. I love using it for readings, of course, for myself. And I like to find the hidden meanings of things, And so I've got a couple of cards off to the side, and as you can see, I've been reading Lon Milo DuQuette's book with some of these cards, and I don't know, seeing what I could see. So, and if you're interested, I do have a couple of videos on, like in my Thoth playlist. I might leave them below, like above if I think about it, of like going through the cards and looking at some of the smaller symbols and, sharing what I think that they mean in terms of occultism and, esotericism and things like that. So I do have some symbolism videos in my Thoth playlist. And if you're interested in the Thoth, please go check my playlist out. So let's move these to the side. And right off the rip, I want to showcase, like I said, these will be like Anna's video. These are going to be like some of the more smaller, obscure symbols, I guess you could say, or hidden symbols in the Thoth deck that I found over the years that I think would be great. I've probably mentioned them in other of my Thoth videos, but I think that having them all together in this one hidden treasure video would be really cool. So, I want to share that. Okay, so right off the rip, we have the High Priestess card. Now, and again, kind of like Anna said, some of these might be in a book somewhere and some of these might not be, but this is definitely in the book. And I love the bow and arrow here because as we know, a bow would only have one string. And at first, when you first see this card, you think that what you're looking at is a whole bunch of arrows like stacked up on Isis's lap here, but it's actually a 3-stringed bow, which in some books talks about it being a harp. Like you hunt through enchantment, right? You're hunting for things. You're hunting for the secret knowledge, the secret text through enchanting. Like there's an enchanting nature through finding the secret knowledge, which is what the High Priestess is all about. We see this one arrow, and then the rest of the strings we see is part of the 3-string harp / bow that she's wearing. One symbol that I did find while looking at this card that I found was her eyes, a lemniscate, or kind of a Mobius strip around her eyes here. This ribbon-like thing that makes a lemniscate shape around her eyes. And I thought that was really interesting. So, for sure, that would be a hidden symbol in my book. Okay, the next one is the Wheel of Fortune, or the Fortune card in the Thoth system. And for me, my favorite like hidden symbol in this card is the fist here. Right here in the bottom of the wheel here. There's actually a lot of hidden symbols in the Fortune card in the Thoth deck, like the sun in the middle of the spokes. The triangle here behind it is nodding back to the supernal triad. And but the fist, it goes on the Hebrew letter Kaf, which means fist. And in Hebrew, that letter represents poverty and richness, like them both. So it really kind of cements the meaning behind this card of riches can be lost and gained, and it's just about the turning of the tides, turning of the wheel, so to speak. I do like that in the background above this, which signifies above the abyss, is this circle here that to me makes me think of a halo, like the Keter halo is shining down the Wheel of Fortune. Almost like the light is what's moving, or light in general is what's moving the circle around. So that's kind of cool. Now, death is an interesting card anyway in the Thoth, but just really fast, I love that the bubbles here that Osiris is conjuring is like the shape of an octave wave, which I've seen some drawings from long, long ago that hold this exact same shape. And I'm not sure if that's because of projective geometry or what, or why they couldn't just be regular bubbles. They had to be in this specific shape here. But it's not a hidden symbol. It's just something that I value in the deck in terms of the art. Okay, then we have the Devil. The Devil is a beautiful card to me. But what's interesting about this card is the homunculuses that are as they're often named in the two globes here. And it says in some texts that these are females and these are males, but there's one figure here that is a centaur. I mean, not a centaur, a satyr with horns and goat feet. So it's like, it's signifying that everything, all of us humans that are getting birthed have the potential for evil. So this is like, of course, this is a very phallic looking card. These represent representing the scrotum where the sperm is and everything. And it just means that these are the sperm ready to come out, ready to get birthed. Having this one horned figure in this it kind of reminds me that we all have the capacity for evil, the potential for evil. And there's this latent primal energy within it that runs through us all. And it's so, I don't know, like it's ingrained into all of us. And I think that that's what it's trying to convey here. But, you know, again, this is a hidden symbol, so we may not ever know. Now, actually, I pulled these two cards out for this hidden symbol. This is the Ace of Cups and the Hierophant. The Hierophant holds this scepter here with the three interlocking circles, meaning the three aeons, the Isis, Osiris, and Horus aeon. But this Trinity triple circle here is also on the cup, on this chalice in the Ace of Discs. And it's actually not known why it's present on the Ace of Cups. Now, if we think about the Hierophant card and what it means, especially in the Thoth deck, you know, this very Taurus, you know, tradition-filled figure, what then could that mean for the Ace of Cups? And looking at the Aeon symbol here and on the cup, it kind of means that we need to approach the Aeon of Horus, as this deck is. The whole deck's premise is to get us through to the age of Horus, or to begin the age of Horus, or something to that effect. So it's almost like it's saying, go to the new Aeon with love in your heart. And I think that's why it's present here. But again, we may never find out. Also, this is in the books, but I love this little baby in the chest of this Hierophant. Okay. Now, I pulled these two wands out because of the Dorjas. In the wands, these are the only two cards that house Dorjas. Dorjas being these wands with the figureheads on top and the spears on the other side, and how they link back to system thinking a little bit, back to system thinking, and the balance in which the universe has to eject, and the very destructive versus creation is what the Dorja symbolizes. This, you know, in order to create, we have to destruct. And so I've actually, in some of my research, found that the Dorja itself is representative of Kali Ma and that destructive nature to her. And I really appreciate that in the wand suit, especially. But to have it conveyed in the Dominion card, we have dominion over our own free will, which is what this card means to me. We are our own sovereignty. We have our own will, and we are the ones responsible for it. And then the Ten of Wands, which is oppression, is almost like, let's put this aside. It's almost this mode of the ways in which we restrict the creation and destructive nature to ourselves. So when we are so severe on our magical practice, our lives. We want to create, but we don't always want to destroy what we've created, and even though it may be needed. And that's when we become self-oppressed. Our will itself becomes oppressed, and that's what this card means. But I do love the Dorjas. Not really hidden, but something interesting about Kali Ma. Just the creation and destruction aspect to them fills my little heart with joy. So, ironically enough. Okay, then we have the 10 of Swords here, which is the Ruinous card, okay? Again, this isn't a hidden symbol per se, but I love the heart, like kind of a sacred heart looking in the center of all these swords. And of course, all these swords hilts are different. They may mean something, they may not. But anyway, the ruin here is heart-driven to me. This is the path of destruction. Okay, so say we're on a path and if we keep going down that path, it's going to lead to ruin. And it's like one of those times in a movie where they're like, if you keep going, you will die. If you keep doing this, you will die. If you keep doing this, you're going to ruin your life, you know? And it's that time where the little, the quirky friend has to step in and tell you, look, this is the wrong path. Or you could be telling yourself that. In either way, I think this signifies that you're on the wrong path. If you keep going down this path, it will lead to your ruin. So the little heart there in the center with all those light rays coming out of it is something I definitely value in this card. Like, I'm going off of my emotions alone and I need to use my head, or else something's getting ruined here. So I love that. Okay, the next one is the 7 of Discs. Love this. I love that Crowley and Harris decided to use actual, in most of the disc cards, they chose to use actual coin imagery. I love that a lot. But I love looking at the helmets versus the bulls in this. Because as we know, this is Saturn in Taurus. The helmets represent Saturn and the bulls represent Taurus. And the helmets are restricting. Okay, which is in some texts I've seen mean restriction, like the helmet being some kind of like blinders on horses. We're restricting ourselves, which lead to our failure. And the Taurus being a bull, where it is also, we're stuck in our own ways. With Saturn, it's like Saturn is stuck, and that represents the helmet. And then of course that could lead to failure if we don't learn to take the helmet or this constriction off. So it's pretty, it's pretty cool little hidden symbol. Anna talked about this card as well. She talked about something that she thought may have been painted over. I'm not really seeing that. I don't really know if that, I don't know. I mean, I can't really tell which coin has been painted over and which one hasn't. But something interesting about this card that I love is this little triangle here. You can't really tell, but they're numbers, 8, 64, 280, and 2080. And each number means something. I actually really like when we explore these kind of esoteric triangles and esoteric squares, like the Seder square. I love thinking of those and what they could mean in terms of symbols for civilizations from long ago. And this plays in the numerology aspect and how numbers and mathematics, which is something I believe the Crowley was very passionate about, numbers and mathematics play a huge role in the universe and in commonwealth and in the wealth of the universe as a whole. And I just like that. These Hebrew letters here mean wealth. These stars, including this number, mean something. And then this is a caduceus, and these are Mercury symbols right here. So everything means something in the Thoth, which is something so beautiful about this deck. But I don't know, Go back to Anna's video and tell her if you see the coin that has been painted over. Okay, the last few cards I'll show you are court cards. And I just love the courts in the Thoth deck. I do. The most interesting hidden symbol, even though it may not be hidden, is the snake in this cup here. And how it seems to be almost rising up, like he's a snake conjurer, snake charmer. I like that for the Prince of Cups, that there would be this underlying charming nature to him, and that the snake, whether it has other meaning or another meaning esoterically or not, I think of it as he's, you know, because there's like this white around the snake, almost like it's coming out of the water, and he's summoning it somehow. So there's a charm on top of this very aloof Prince of Cups, I would say. There's an underlying charm to him that I like. Okay. Then we have the Queen of Cups. For some reason, and I don't think we don't really see that we don't really see this next symbol that I'm going to talk about in the existing card. But I want to say that in the Queen of Cups here, in her shell is a crayfish. And this globe, this sphere back here, reminds me that this could be nodding back to the moon. Now, we don't see a crayfish in this moon card, but we do in most moon cards, right? And so, let's put that down right there so you can still see. But if there's a crayfish and the moon, this very, very potent moonlight behind her, what could that mean in terms of illusionment, right? We have to go through the path. There's path talk. There's illusionment. There's not knowing your own thoughts, right? Confusion. What does that mean for the Queen of Cups? I mean, there's some regality to the queens for sure, but what is the veil here? Like, she's bathed in so much moonlight we can't hardly see her, right? Like, even here, like, we can barely see her face in the moonlight because she's obscured. And maybe that has some kind of weird meaning behind it, that she's obscured to us. So, I don't know. I liked that crayfish thing there. Okay. Now, this was one of the cards that I love to talk about in terms of hidden symbols because of the north, south, east, and west on this dragonfly wing that he has. And it, like she said, it makes me think that he's the holder of the wind, okay? Because when we think about Ruach, how I pronounce it Ruach, but it's Hebrew for breath or wind. And that's what this card is telling us, is that it almost acts like a weather vane to me on the back of his, this is actually supposed to be on the back of his shirt, not on his helmet like most people think. It just looks like that because of the composition of the card. But if it's a weather vane, then he goes where the wind takes him. And I think that that is such a powerful thing to think about in terms of the Knight of Swords. He's going where the wind takes him, and at a moment's notice, the weather vane could move with the wind and he will change directions. But he's not slowing down. He's going with the pace of the wind and with his own breath. And I really like that. And this is, like I said, this is one of the cards she showed as well with the north, south, east, and west on these little words here. Okay. And then the last card that I want to go over in terms of cool hidden symbols in the Thoth is the Knight of Discs. And I love the Knight of Discs. There is such a cool calmness to his demeanor that I value for some reason. I love his reindeer or his deer on his helmet right here. You know, I love that. But anyway, two symbols that popped out to me automatically when looking at this card are, one, the way he's holding the shield, okay? It looks like a phone is sitting there. Like he's got a screen or a map, right? Like he's got Google Maps open and he's trying to figure out where to go in his domain, in his kingdom. And I just find that just is like a weird flattened square or flattened rectangle that we see right here. That's his hand, because you can see where he's holding, but something's sitting on top of his hand. That could just be something protective, but it looked like a phone to me. Which I know it's not, but it's just so, I don't know, weird. And then for me, for this to be the disc suit, it was really surprising to see that he's holding what looks to be nunchucks. Why is he holding nunchucks? I mean, is that what this is? This is a wand on a chain with another wand. Why is this Knight of Discs holding... What is this weapon, dear sir? Tell us what it is. That was just something funny. Some kind of hidden thing that I find funny. Also really like the wheat, the sweep of the wheat in this card, which nods back to me, to the Hermit. And when we think about both of them in terms of meaning, I like to think of them in the same type of way. Like maybe this is macro and microcosm here, right? In terms of wheat, in terms of fertilization, right? They're both about fertilization. And I like when we look at them together, how the light in this card is moving in a circular pattern in the shape of a disc. They're moving, the light here in this card is moving around in shards, not circles. So I like looking at both of these in terms of light and the shards and the way it's portrayed. So, okay. I'm sure there are loads more symbols for sure in this deck. I mean, if we were to go through the whole deck, we could probably see a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, all this means something, you know. The lotus and the pelican and the rams and this ribbon here around the hermit's hands when he's performing this marriage ceremony nods back. It actually nods to me back to the high priestess that we talked about earlier in her lemniscate eyes, but also to the world card and the Mobius strip. Where's the world card? Here she is. The Mobius strip behind her as well. So it all kind of links up, and the Thoth is a great deck. Even if you don't want to study the Thoth, I think it's still a cool deck to look for hidden symbols and then what those symbols mean. And then when we want to read with the deck, we've built up all kinds of meanings and layers and associations that we can plug out into a reading, whether you read for others or not. So yeah. So there was a short Thoth Thursday video looking at some hidden symbols in the Thoth deck. Appreciate Anna for bringing this topic up. And as always, if you have a Thoth-related content for Thoth Thursday that you want me to cover, please let us know in the comments. I'd be happy to research some things that you guys want to see. All right. Hope everyone's having a great day. Much love.